On August 29th, the Russians attempted to carry out a mechanized raid on the Ukrainian village of Katerynivka, located in the Toretsk direction of Donetsk region. At first, 1 tank and 3 armored vehicles filled with infantry advanced for the assault. A Ukrainian reconnaissance drone spotted their activity, and that was the alarm signal to launch kamikaze drones and engage in direct contact with the enemy forces. When the Russians realized that Ukrainian drone operators were engaging them in battle, the column began to split and move in different directions in an attempt to distract the Ukrainian reconnaissance drone. The kamikaze drone pilots first chose the armored personnel carrier that was heading toward the area where Ukrainian infantry were positioned and began mercilessly attacking it. After just 2 precise strikes, the APC was stopped and engulfed in flames. From the reconnaissance drone, it can be seen how the crew of the armored personnel carrier tries to escape. They crawled away from the burning piece of metal, attempting to reach the nearest cover. However, the spot where the APC was destroyed works against them. But another threat looms on the other side. 2 Russian armored personnel carriers had already reached the outskirts of the Ukrainian village, and they needed to be neutralized first. Therefore, the pilots shifted their focus to these 2 vehicles and began attacking them as well. Despite the heavy fire, the Russians show no intention of stopping. They are ready to sacrifice their armored vehicles and keep moving forward, even as their machines are reduced to little more than metal cans. The Ukrainian pilots do not ease the pressure. On the contrary, they intensify the density of their strikes. As soon as the Russians reach the landing point, they abandon their armored vehicles and scatter, desperately searching for places to hide from the kamikaze drones. But not all of them manage to hide. The Russians remain under constant surveillance from the reconnaissance drone, so the Ukrainian pilots know exactly where each of them has taken cover. And while some pilots hunt down the Russian infantry, others focus on destroying the Russian armored personnel carriers to ensure the enemy has no chance of escaping the battlefield. After the vehicles were destroyed, the Russians became easy targets, with no chance of escaping from the drones. From the reconnaissance drone, it can be seen how the Russians try to find at least some cover. They discover a hole left behind by a destroyed building. Most likely, it leads to a basement. But the likelihood that this basement can withstand powerful explosions is very small. The ruined Ukrainian village turns into a fiery hell for the Russian soldiers. Flames rage all around. Ukrainian kamikaze drones and bomber drones close in from every direction. There is nowhere to run, and constant aerial reconnaissance leaves them under unrelenting watch. Soon, reinforcements arrive for the Russians, another combat group on an armored personnel carrier. They quickly dismount and rush to take positions in the few houses still standing, while at the same time, Ukrainian pilots deliver yet another strike on the APC. The APC flees the battlefield, abandoning the infantry to face Ukrainian kamikaze drones on their own. For the Russians, this marks the beginning of sheer survival mode. The positions where the Russians are located once again come under intense pressure from the Ukrainian pilots, who attack them and drop bombs on their heads. During this assault, the Russians deployed their armored vehicles along with assault troops on motorcycles, who were supposed to break through to Ukrainian positions, secure them, and wait for reinforcements. But once Ukrainian drones began striking the Russian equipment, everything went off plan. The column of Russian armored vehicles could not withstand the precise strikes that pierced their armor. The crews began dismounting earlier than expected. Terrified, the Russians scattered in all directions in search of cover, while at that moment Ukrainian pilots kept delivering accurate strikes, destroying the armored vehicles and eliminating the Russian infantry's chances of survival. Soon, more Russian armored vehicles appeared on the horizon. There were far more of them than at the beginning, so the pilots had to launch additional drones to prevent the Russians from reaching Ukrainian positions. Here, the reconnaissance drone spots the Russians stopping near a tree line, where they dismount their troops to later secure the position. Meanwhile, Ukrainian drones are already closing in on their armored vehicles, ready to destroy the enemy. One drone scores a direct hit on an armored personnel carrier, which instantly erupts in a powerful detonation. It is clear that the Russian soldiers are terrified. They don't know what to do next. Meanwhile, more Ukrainian drones are arriving at the battlefield, and the Russians are fully aware of it. After the powerful explosions, the Russian soldiers begin to flee, realizing they won't be able to hold out here for long.